Dan Lok claims that if I follow his rules, I know how to set goals. I can even become a better leader. It's also the case if I follow his instructions, I can find and hire the right people. And finally, I can realize my goals for once. That's not how it works, and here's why. I've studied a lot of videos of Dan Lok, and I came to the following conclusion. 90% of what he's saying, please forget it. 10%, fine. 90%, empty advice. And especially about setting goals.
I would reverse engineer.
Reverse engineering. Forget about it. Here's what Dan Lok claims. What he's saying is that if you have a goal, which by itself is already difficult to set, but we will come to that later, he says, you know what it is, so you start with the end in mind. By the way, that's not from him, but Stephen Covey. And then you break it down all the way back to where you started, where you are right now. It can work, but in 90% of the goals that people have, it doesn't work. And here's why. Reverse engineering means that if you set a goal, you break it down into parts, all the way back to where you are right now. And then for each and every step, you set small goals again, which is perfectly fine if you're the only one who can influence it. But as soon as you need the circumstances, or if you need other people for it, you will see it becomes a problem. Because things change. And if things change and you've done reverse engineering, you need to be flexible. So starting with reverse engineering is already an issue by itself. Hey, it's your life. If you want to do reverse engineering and you want to set money goals, it's fine, do it. But it can backfire on you. Why? Simple. If you do reverse engineering with a money goal, it comes down to the fact that you have to say, okay, I want to make $240,000 a year. You break it down, which means that you need to make $20,000 a month, which means that you have to make every week $5,000. Hey. And what happens if you don't make the $5,000 a week for the first 3 months? You feel bad about yourself. Feeling bad about yourself is the biggest enemy for realizing goals. Probably the best advice I can give to you is that first you develop yourself and then you set your goals. But since you're already here, let's continue with the video.
Number 2, you want to set goals in major areas of your life. So in my case, I recommend 4 different areas. At first, if you try to do all these 4 goals with like 25%, 25%, 25%, 25%, I can almost guarantee you will fail. If you focus on that one, you accomplish that one thing, you accomplish almost everything else.
Now things become a bit complicated because he says you need to focus on 4 areas. Talking about goals. He says you should have a personal goal, you should have a health goal, or it was the other way around, and you need to have a contribution goal, and you need to have a financial goal. We already talked about the financial goals, but he also says that you need to spend 25% of the time of it, and actually he says, but that's complicated. And then it really becomes confusing for me. And if you can explain it to me, please leave it in the comments. But he says, okay, if you just focus on one of them, you will achieve them. And one of the words that I saw in his video was about automagically.
Automagically.
Magically, that if I have a goal where I say I want to create apps, if I want to create apps, look at them. If I do that, I have $1 million on my bank account. That would be magically, right?
Automagically.
But let's be honest, if you listen to his story, you're thinking to yourself, it sounds logical, right? But that's because the brain is playing a trick on you. Because it sounds so easy, you think, hey, this is good advice. Actually, it's bad advice. The way Dan Lok wants you to think about goals does not comply with the brain. The brain works completely different. And there are a couple of reasons for it. First thing is, the brain is not capable of thinking in long term. So it's only about now and here. The second thing is that we are very, very bad in reasoning. We don't know how to reason, and we have this inner voice that constantly talks to ourselves. That is something you have to take in consideration when setting goals. And the third thing is that the brain is very bad in doing all these things at the same time. We think we are rational, but we are irrational. Just have a look at Daniel Kahneman and see for yourself why that is. Oh, by the way, one more thing. Bad news for you. If you're thinking, hey, it makes sense what this guy is saying, it's probably not true. Because your brain is not rational. I'm not rational, and Dan Lok is certainly not rational. But his approach is rational. And that's not how it works. Two more things. First is, what is the approach of Dan Lok towards goals? And the second thing is his special formula. Let's start with the first one. The way he approaches goals is that you already have a goal. And let's be honest, if you're watching this video and you do not have a goal, don't feel embarrassed, because most people do not have goals. What I see in my professional life when we talk to companies and people, the biggest issue is, what is my goal? What is it that I want? So yes, for those who are lucky and already have a goal, perhaps you can work with this advice. It's still rational, but anyway, you can work with it. Setting the goal by itself is the biggest problem for people. What is it that they want? And my personal feeling is that when I look at Dan Lok, he's completely disconnected with those people who are not able to make a goal for themselves. In my daily practice, working with people, working with companies, we always say start with personal development first. If you know who you are, if you know your own limitations, then it's way easier to set goals for yourself.
And I'm going to give you a 4-step formula. A very simple 4-step formula to achieve your goals auto-magically.
And then the second thing, his so-called magical formula. We're not going to focus on the whole formula. Let's have a look at 2 of them. First, law of attraction. Secondly, sharing things. For those of you who are familiar with the law of attraction, everything that you pay attention to grows. It's not just the law of attraction, but I think it's very common in daily life. What I want to share with you about this law of attraction is that if you put the focus on the lack, what he's saying you to do, he says to you, you need to go to the dealership, you need to experience it. But as soon as you go out of the dealership, you will be confronted with the fact that the car will not be yours. And he says, yet. But the thing is, again, it's a rational approach. You can't go out there and say to yourself, yeah, it's my car, it's my car. It's not rational. That's not how it works.
Hey, that's my car. And they're like, what are you talking about? No, that's my car. No, that's not your car. You're driving this like Mazda 3. That's not your car. You don't understand. That's my car.
So you can dream. I dream as well. Keep on dreaming, but make sure you don't fall in these kind of pitfalls. And last but not least, sharing your goals with people. Hey, if you want to share it, fine. Sometimes I share my goals as well. But the problem with sharing is the following. If I tell you a very big, audacious goal, it could be the fact that you're telling me, whoa, are you going to do that? And then I've got my internal voice again. It's the irrationality of the human being. I have it, you have it, everybody has it. So you're gonna doubt about it. And doubt is the killing in reaching goals. It's the big killer. You can share it, but just make sure if you share your goal with other people, you are very resilient to all the comments that people give you. So my advice is, keep it to yourself, start working, make up your bed, do the things you have to do, and before you know, within 3 year times, you're gonna reach your goals. And on that note, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.